So we used to be the Hyenas pretty much. It's the same team transferred over. The Hyenas were started by Phil Malesio 2 years ago, and kind of halfway through the season, I started giving a little help, running a couple different aspects of that team. From there, I turned over to the GM the next year. So the second year of the Hyenas, I was the GM while he was the owner. So I ran, a bunch of aspects of that team. And then, IBLA folds, we pretty much had a straight path, taking that Hyenas team, sending it over to the NABLL, and now we're here. Right, yeah, our home arena for home games this year was HVCC, which is in Rensselaer County. It's 15 minutes south of me. Brand new turf. It's still stiff right now, but like the arena's nice. It's a good size. Not too big, not too small. The turf, give it a couple months, and that's going to be broken in real well. Our practice arena is at the Knickerbocker, which is right down the street from me, both in or close to Troy, the city of Troy. Right. So, all of them are guys that grew up kind of around here. I know a bunch of them from before any of us started playing box. A couple of Niskayuna guys, which is where I'm from. That's my hometown. And then, guys that people know, through the grapevine, grew up playing with. Most of the guys are local, like I said. So, just kind of trying to ask around, see what positions we needed, fill those spots. So, there's some guys who, played at all levels, D3, D2, D1, some with box experience, some without. But we pretty much encourage guys, regardless of what position they used to play or what they're doing here, whether it's a transition or like a pretty straight shot, to play their game. We have guys that are really, really physical on defense. We have guys that can push transition hard. We got good shooters. We got good, initiators on offense. So, it's a team where everybody knows their role, and it's fun to watch it all come together into one offense, one defense, one team. It's been fun seeing a bunch of field guys because nobody here grew up with box. It's fun seeing a bunch of guys that played field for their whole life, figure out the box game. And we had, I think this year we had maybe 5 or 6 guys that just left for college. So we're not going to see them in nationals, but those are guys that we're going to hopefully have coming back. We had some really good players that are at the collegiate level right now that we're going to hope that they play with us through their collegiate career during the summer, and then after they graduate, if they stick around the Troy, Albany area, to have them come play after that. So at any one point in time, I think the most we had was around 30. So that's including a goalie. And yeah, it is a big impact. Guys like Owen Scannell, who's a Pole at Canisius, just left us. He was one of our better defensemen, but could also push transition and play offense if he had to. A guy like that isn't going to come back. So we're looking to fill those roles with a couple pickups. But teams in our region, I know the Warhogs and the Pandas had a very college heavy roster. So when those guys started going back to college, they kind of almost didn't have enough to play. So it's a bigger impact for some than others. I know there are teams like Utica. I know they have a bunch of guys that have played box that are older, in their 30s and 40s. So that's a team that probably isn't as affected as others. I know they might have a couple college guys, but we're going to be seeing them in nationals, so they pretty much should have a nice full roster, and that's the kind of program that you like to run. But if you can't, having college guys preparing for it and having enough guys afterwards is really important to look at early when you're building your roster. Yeah. So a guy like Lucas, he was an attackman at Penn State. He's one of those guys who didn't get a whole bunch of playing time in college, but that's mostly based on the situations that were around him. A guy like Grant Ament comes onto the team. It's tough to be better than that guy, right? So Lucas plays a game that's very similar to box in the field. So those hands kind of translate over pretty well for him. He played goalie in a bunch of games this summer for Field, and he's just a good athlete. He can probably play any position he wanted to and figure out a way to be decent at it. He played against us and made plenty of good saves. Um, but similarly, Cody played at UAlbany, which Albany's got a reputation of letting guys play their game. So that's where you see Thompson's, Tahoka, a bunch of native players that have box background go there and thrive. So Cody coming from a game like that is a good help for us. But then we have an attackman, Nick Testa, who was a goalie at Villanova, tremendous goalie at Villanova, and he's playing forward for us just because he's probably got the best hands on the team. So there's transitions that happen where if a guy fits the role, that's what we need. We need guys that know how to play their role, and yeah, yeah. No, he's an awesome goalie, and we're kind of lucky we ran into him. Our goalie situation was a little up in the air, so he moved here from California, and I ran into him coaching the Junior Firewolves program this winter, and he said he hadn't played in 10, 15 years, something like that. He was like, yeah, I'll run some pickups with you guys. I'd love to come shake off the cobwebs. And we're like, yeah, go for it, man. We could always use some goalies. There's not many in this area because there wasn't box growing up here. So I came to a couple pickup practices, and we're like, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. He's older, he's a little smaller, but his knowledge of the game is what makes him great. He knows how to play his angles. He knows what looks these forwards are going to be looking for. What he lacks in the athleticism, he makes up for in his years of experience, knowing where the ball is going to be, knowing how to not overplay, and being smart about a lot of things. So he's yeah. No, I was just I was coaching at the 5th, 6th level this year, and I'm not sure how much I'm going to be involved in the future. I'm talking with Steve Donovan, who also helps run, the Junior Firewolves team. Him and Jordan Manius, the son of the owner. So those guys kind of run that program. And I know they got a bunch of the Firewolves players coming down and staying through the winter, doing some of those clinics. But I think it's been a great addition to the area. Having professional lacrosse here. It's been a long time since there was the Albany Attack way back in the day. I remember going to a couple of those games, but having the Firewolves back in all facets at the professional league, bringing box lacrosse to youth kids in the winter, it's been a great addition. I think there's always room for box, kind of anywhere to develop skills for every kind of player, offense, defense. Being in that area, it really does help. Kind of grow your knowledge of the game. Yeah, that's what we're working on. We have games at HVCC. We've been practicing at the Knickerbocker. There's a couple different options for us. The YMCA in Bethlehem. There's an outdoor rink that just got put up last year. So there's plenty of places to play, which is a huge benefit for the area. Not only for the Firewolves and us, but for anybody that wants to get out. You can grab a handful of guys, go to any of these boxes, and practice around, do something with yourself, and I think that's really good. Well, I'll be honest, our social media, we don't have a formal organization. It's just kind of me and some of the guys on the team, trudging our way down the street, picking up what information we can, and trying to spread it the best way we can. Right now, we have an Instagram that posts pretty much just about game schedules and game results, but we're working towards having a website. Hopefully, we can figure something out for next year to have a website with everything posted, having links to apparel, having links to game schedule, things like that. So there's work to be done. So we've got a good team. A lot of guys that have played a bunch of box over the last couple of years. Good chemistry, just being around each other on the same team for the last couple of years. What we're expecting is to play our style, which is, everybody has their own role, but we have big defensemen, which we expect for, kind of locking down some of the better players we see out there. A couple transition guys. We've got a lot of really solid righties on forward. We're going to be picking up a couple lefties, hopefully, for national to round out our offense. So, playing the game that we know how to play. We've played well against other teams when we have the numbers. We had our first game was against Utica, who's going to be representing the upstate region. We beat them in our first competition this year, so that was good for us. And I expected things out of us in nationals. Yeah, yeah, that's Sam Miller. Um, yeah, he's a tremendous lacrosse player. He was on my field team as well. He plays close defenseman in field. He's on our defense in box, and he's one of those big guys I was talking about. I think he's 6'5", pure muscle. He's a tank. He's one of those guys that we're looking to show out in nationals and really kind of make a statement for our team. Yeah, I mean we've definitely had some injuries. Again, we've had those college guys go over the last couple of weeks. I mean, there's definitely other great competition, like the main team. Those guys, they came from the Vermont Voyagers. There's a bunch of guys from that team. They've been running up in Maine for years at the IBLA level, and now they have a team that's, I think they're doing pretty well in their region. I think they won their region, and I'm pretty sure they only lost to Cambridge, who's also a great team. So we always look forward to seeing what they can do. There's a Minnesota team that's been doing great, a Seattle team that's undefeated. So we're looking forward to seeing all those. So I'm gonna have Sam Miller and Lucas kind of run the offense and defense. As far as we really don't have a coach at any time. Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, yeah, that's we can put that on a T-shirt. The best Sandlot team there is. Uh, but yeah, that's just kind of the way we've been running it. So it's working. Let's do it.